So I'm standing here with Sally Goswell, who's the manager of Fairhill Training Centre, where I train about 100 horses. And we're standing in front of the mile dirt oval, and inside the mile dirt oval is a 7-furlong tapeta. And Sally is going to take us down there and show us what it takes to keep up the two track surfaces.
Okay, we're standing here in the middle of our 1 mile dirt track. It is 70 feet wide. It is a standard American dirt track, probably bigger than some they race over and smaller than some they race over. We have 10% banking on our turns, which makes it a bit tricky to maintain in wet weather. So typically we would seal the track and put cones out and only use the outside 3/4 of the track. During the spring, summer, and fall, we use a lot of water on the dirt track. We water it in the evenings before opening it up early in the morning. During the hottest time, we probably put 50 or 60,000 gallons of water on the track, which we pump out of our ponds. We have all local water. We do not have city water. So we have to be careful during a drought that we don't use it all. So as far as maintenance goes on our dirt track, we harrow it in the mornings to get it ready for the horses to train. We have a limestone base here with about 4 inches of cushion on top, which we grade regularly to keep it even and consistent all the way across. So in good weather, the track is harrowed every day. It opens up around 6 o'clock. We then will have a harrow break at 8 o'clock, and then we close the tracks at noon. We do try to water at the harrow break, weather permitting. When we get into the colder weather, we have found that maintaining the dirt track over the winter is very, very expensive. You have to keep harrows on it all night when it's freezing temperatures. You have to add chemicals, etc. So what we decided a number of years ago was to put in a synthetic tapeta surface to get us through the winter. The harrowing really affects the base of the dirt track, and you get a lot of wear and tear on the equipment in addition to being very expensive. So when this track freezes now in the winter, we keep it frozen, we don't try and open it up, and we use the tapeta, which we're going over to have a look at now. We're now over on our tapeta track. This track is 7/8 of a mile, also with the 10% banking on the turns that we have on the dirt. However, this one is only 40 feet wide, so it can get a bit crowded over here, particularly in the wet weather. The track we have about 7 inches of a sand, wax-coated sand, fibers. There is some rubber in our track. There are all bits and pieces of different things that help bind it together. It is a lot different maintenance from our dirt track. It is not maintenance free, but a lot easier and more predictable than the dirt is, I think, because it's not as affected by the weather. In fact, it loves the rain. We have porous blacktop underneath the surface, so the water comes down, no matter how much, goes through the material, through the blacktop, and out through drains into the center of the track. So we can continue training on this when it is pouring rain, and the track actually loves the water. In the wintertime, this track does not freeze. However, if you have sleet and freezing rain and you let that get into the track, that does freeze, so you have a problem. We watch the weather closely, and if we are getting a situation like that, we don't let the horses out here. We let the sleet accumulate on top. Typically, the sun will come out bright enough and melt it off the top. But it's very important not to harrow frozen stuff into the track, or the track insulates it so well then that freezes together. Last winter we had really extreme temperatures down at 0, not above freezing for days on end, and we missed no time on the track except for the days we were moving snow off of it. Rather than the straight tooth harrows that you use on the dirt, we use what we call a cultivator. It's an S-tine that lifts the material up and baskets fluff it around to keep it level. In the winter, we do a little bit more of that than we do in the summer. But typically in the spring, summer, fall, we come out and harrow the track once. We have never watered it. And it's just great. We don't need to grade it very often. The material doesn't move. During heavy rains, it does not wash down. Just over time, the spinning baskets will drop the material down on the turns, so we do come probably once every 3 to 4 weeks during spring, summer, and fall and grade it. In the winter, it's a bit more often than that. Just depends on what the weather conditions are.
So here we are now at the turf course at Fair Hill, and we have a 7 furlong oval, which is fairly typical of most American racetracks, although this is used really for steeplechase races, and at the training center we can also use it for turf workouts. Actually, Animal Kingdom had his last workout here before he ran against Wise Dan in the Breeders' Cup, and there's a pretty steady climb uphill from 3 furlongs out, so you can really get a bottom into a horse much more similar to what you'd be used to training in Europe.